You mentioned earlier that you think of yourself as being a white winemaker, but most of your production is actually in red wine. Please tell us a little about the red wine side of your production.
Yeah. My vineyards are in mountain area of Abruzzo, in Cugnoli area. Is a beautiful area, 380 meters above sea level, the typical mountain climate, calcareous soil. So I want to express with my Montepulciano not just the meaning of my historical master selection clones, but even the meaning of the Montepulciano coming from my terroir, so rich in freshness. Because the Montepulciano is not a fleshy wine, it's not a rustic wine like the most part of the people think, but can be a super refined wine, super fresh, well-balanced wine. And in order to save and to express all these characteristics, my Montepulciano is an unoaked Montepulciano, so no oak at all, just stainless steel. I don't want to overpower the beautiful, elegant flavors of the variety.
Yes, I understand.
And the stainless steel preserve and is able to keep these flavors, beautiful flavors of red fruit, but not sweet, overripened red fruit, but the flavors are flavors of sour red fruit, small red fruit, blood orange. The blood orange is one of the historical flavor of the Montepulciano. Over the years disappeared because of the over-ripening level of the grape, because of the too much use of the barrique, new oak, and it's very delicate flavors, so it's important to keep the flavors, not to cover the flavors. My Montepulciano has a very balanced fermentation. I don't press to have over extraction because the Montepulciano grape is a very rich grape, rich in flavors, rich in tannins, rich in polyphenol.
Yes.
So I avoid to pump over, I avoid to punch down, I don't want to extract and to force the extraction. I want to save the balance and the elegance of the variety.
It makes one wonder why so many winemakers do extract so much from Montepulciano after tasting your wines. The last wine we tasted there was the Colivolta. That's a very special wine for you, and something that shall just quickly give people a quick look at the bottle here. There we go. A couple of very special wines there. Would you mind telling us the story of this wine, which is a relatively new wine for you?
Yeah, it's a new wine. It's a single vineyard Montepulciano, and actually I was not working in having a single vineyard Montepulciano. You know, the single vineyard just happened. I was working to make a Montepulciano cru, but I was studying my oldest Montepulciano vines, and the Colivolta comes not from my oldest Montepulciano vines, but from a pretty young vineyard. I planted this vineyard in 2000. It's a muscle selection, and what is impressive is I use an old Montepulciano vine to propagate these vines. So I use a precise biotype and a precise clone. Now in the single vineyard, in the Colivolta vineyard, the clone is the same, of course, because the clone doesn't change, but the biotype is different.
Yes.
This grape is different in terms of flavors, in terms of shape of the clusters.
You said it's a much smaller cluster that you're finding in this.
Exactly. Even the berries are smaller, the skin is super thick, crunchy, and the acidity is higher, the ripening time is longer, is the last Montepulciano I harvest. not because I over-ripen, but has a different ripening time, longer ripening time. And the wines is an impressive wine because no one in a blind tasting says it's a Montepulciano. Because it's a super refined wine with super complex flavors of blood orange, violet, rich in flintiness, pink pepper, and just stainless steel, no oak, even this Montepulciano. In this wine I love the silkiness. It's very rare to have this level of silkiness in the Montepulciano grape and wine. So I was so impressed by the result of this vineyard. First time in 2012, but I wanted to wait because I wanted to understand if it was just a chance, a fluke of the vintage, or was the real meaning of the vineyard.
But you are seeing a consistency now with that site.
Exactly, exactly. And the Colebota is the right expression of the terroir. It's a sandy soil vineyard. The subsoil is a sandy too. And so it's the right expression of this terroir, and it's an unusual Montepulciano, but for some aspect represent the deepest meaning of the variety, coming from mountain area.
There's one wine that we haven't spoken of yet, and that's something that I think is very close to your heart. You were speaking of you wanted to make a very traditional style of this wine. Tell us a bit about that.
The Cerasuolo is a wine very dear to me because it's a wine able to tell the history of Abruzzo. The Montepulciano grape developed in mountain area of Abruzzo, so the origin of the Montepulciano stays in mountain area of Abruzzo. And before global warming, this grape didn't ripen fully in mountain area, so the producers, when they harvested Montepulciano, the intention was to make red wines. But the grape was unripened, so not fully colored, and so the wines they obtained was Cerasuolo. Not a true red wines, but even not a rosé in the middle. This is the reason why we have Cerasuolo in Abruzzo, and was born the appellation Cerasuolo d'Abruzzo. Cerasuolo means cherry, so cherry color, cherry flavors, yes. Cherry taste. I make Cerasuolo in a very traditional way. My Cerasuolo comes from a single vineyard Montepulciano because the grape is 100% Montepulciano. So always the same vineyard with the north exposition. I'm interested in having this beautiful balance in this grape, balance of the fruitiness, acidity, minerality, freshness, and the Cerasuolo d'Abruzzo is represent all these aspects, the fruitiness, but complex red fruit, fresh red fruit. I always say Cerasuolo is a crunchy wine. Mm-hmm. I know it's a crazy word for a wine, entirely. But taste cranberries, taste pomegranate, taste sour cherries, wild strawberry, rhubarb, complex flavors and crunchy flavors.
Texturally, you can almost feel you can almost imagine the berries crunching in your mouth.
Exactly, right? So exactly. Yeah. That's the meaning of the Cerasuolo. So not a sweet light rosé, but a deeper rosé with a deep character. Very easy drinking wine, very food flexible wine, because with a touch of tannins, the Cerasuolo can match all the food for red wines. And these tannins are super important because are the main elements able to distinguish the Cerasuolo from a rosé. So the Cerasuolo d'Abruzzo is not a rosé, it's not a light red wine, but a precise identity.
Fantastic! It's a delicious, crunchy wine. Christiana,
happy to know.
Thank you very, very much for joining us at Good Food Revolution today, and thank you for spending so much time tasting through all of these wines. They're incredibly impressive, and hopefully we'll see you again sometime soon.
With pleasure. Thank you.
Bye for now.